Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Passage Podcast, where we improve English through meaningful, real-life conversations that not only help you understand the language better, but also help you connect with ideas that truly matter in your everyday life.
And where you learn real English through natural, expressive, and practical conversations that you can actually use in your daily routine. Whether you're talking to friends, preparing for work, or simply trying to express yourself more confidently.
Have you ever had one of those nights where you feel extremely motivated? You promise yourself very seriously that tomorrow will be different, that you will wake up early, exercise, study, and completely change your life. But then the next morning, you hit the snooze button again and again until suddenly it's late and everything feels rushed?
Mira, I feel like you just described not only your life, but also mine, and probably the lives of millions of people listening right now. It's almost like a universal human experience.
Exactly. And that's why today's topic is so important. Because we are not just talking about habits in theory, but we are talking about the real struggle of building good habits and staying consistent even when it feels difficult.
You know, Mira, if I look back at my life a few years ago, I can clearly see that my daily routine was completely unstructured. And because of that, I often felt unproductive, distracted, and honestly, a little disappointed in myself because I knew I could do better, but I wasn't taking the right actions.
That sounds very honest. And I think many people feel that way, but don't always admit it openly.
Yes, and the biggest problem was not that I didn't have goals, but that I didn't have the discipline or consistency to follow through on those goals every single day, especially when things became uncomfortable or boring.
So what changed for you? Because now when I see your routine, it looks very structured, very intentional, and honestly, very inspiring.
What changed was my understanding of habits. Because earlier, I thought success comes from big, dramatic actions. But later, I realized that real change comes from small, repeated actions that you do even when you don't feel motivated.
That shift in thinking itself sounds powerful, because most people wait for motivation instead of building discipline. Let me be very honest here. My biggest struggle is my morning routine, because even when I wake up, I don't feel in control of my time, and before I even realize it, I am already scrolling on my phone without thinking.
And that is exactly where the problem begins. Because the way you start your morning often decides the direction of your entire day, whether you feel focused and productive or distracted and tired.
That makes sense. But it also feels very difficult to change, especially when using the phone has become such an automatic habit.
That's true. And that's why, instead of trying to completely stop using your phone, which can feel overwhelming, you should try replacing that habit with something simple and positive that feels easy to follow.
Can you give an example that feels realistic for beginners?
Yes, for example, instead of picking up your phone immediately after waking up, you can sit on your bed, take a deep breath, drink a glass of water, and just spend a few quiet moments with yourself, which helps your mind wake up naturally instead of being overloaded with information.
That actually sounds peaceful, and I feel like it could reduce stress as well. Now let's talk about study habits, especially for English learners, because many people feel excited in the beginning, but then slowly lose consistency.
Yes, and the reason for that is that people often set unrealistic expectations, like studying for long hours every day, which may work for a short time, but is very hard to maintain in the long run.
Yes, I have done that many times. I start with full energy, study for hours, and then the next day I feel completely exhausted and skip everything.
Exactly, and that's why consistency is far more important than intensity. Because even small daily effort builds a strong habit over time.
So you're saying that even 15 or 20 minutes of focused study every day is better than studying for hours occasionally?
Absolutely, because consistency trains your brain to accept learning as a normal part of your daily routine, rather than something difficult or stressful.
That makes it feel much more achievable and less overwhelming. I think we should talk honestly about phone addiction, because even though it feels normal in today's life, it is slowly affecting our focus, our time, and even the way we think without us fully realizing it.
That's very true, Mira. Because the biggest problem is that it doesn't feel harmful in the moment. It feels relaxing and entertaining. But over time, it reduces our ability to concentrate and stay present in real-life situations.
Yes, and sometimes I open my phone just to check one message, but without realizing it, I end up scrolling for a long time. And when I stop, I feel tired, but not satisfied.
And that is the hidden cost. Because your brain is constantly consuming information without creating anything meaningful.
So why is it so hard to stop, even when we know it's not good for us?
Because these apps are designed to keep your attention through endless scrolling and quick entertainment, which makes your brain want more again and again.
So it's not just about willpower?
Exactly. Which is why, instead of blaming yourself, you should create simple systems, like keeping your phone away while studying.
That sounds simple, but also uncomfortable.
And that discomfort is actually a good sign, because it means you are breaking a habit and building control.
Arav, I feel like sometimes our environment makes things harder. Do you think our surroundings affect our habits more than we realize?
Absolutely. Because we naturally follow what is easy and visible. So your environment quietly shapes your daily actions.
Can you give a simple example?
Yes, if your phone is next to you while studying, you will feel tempted to use it. But if it's in another room and your books are ready in front of you, studying becomes much easier.
So instead of fighting habits, we make the right choice easier.
Exactly. And that's called environment design. Making good habits easy and bad habits difficult.
That feels practical and realistic.
And even small changes, like preparing things in advance or reducing distractions, can create a big difference over time.
I really like that, because it makes improvement feel possible, not overwhelming. Coming back to fitness, I feel like many people start going to the gym with excitement, but after a few days, they lose energy and stop going, which creates a cycle of starting and quitting again and again.
Yes, and that cycle happens because people depend too much on motivation, which feels strong in the beginning, but fades quickly when things become repetitive, tiring, or uncomfortable.
So the real solution is not to increase motivation, but to build discipline that works even when motivation is low?
Exactly. Because discipline means you have already decided what you will do, and you follow that decision regardless of how you feel in that moment, which removes the need to negotiate with yourself every day.
That idea of not negotiating with yourself sounds very powerful, because most of the time we lose to our own excuses.
And once you stop giving importance to those excuses, You start building a strong identity of someone who follows through. And that identity is what creates long-term success.
I think one of the biggest emotional challenges people face is feeling discouraged after failing, because they feel like they are not capable of change.
That is very true. And that is why it is important to understand that failure is not the opposite of progress, but actually a part of the process of building any habit.
So instead of judging ourselves, we should focus on returning to the habit again?
Yes, because every time you return, you are strengthening your commitment. And over time, that consistency becomes stronger than temporary failure.
That perspective feels very kind and realistic, and I think many listeners need to hear this. Here's something very important to remember. Don't wait for the perfect moment to start, because that perfect moment may never come.
Instead, start small. Start imperfectly, but start today. Because action creates momentum, and momentum creates change.
And over time, those small actions become powerful habits. What do you think about your current habits, and which one would you honestly like to improve starting today?
Take a moment to reflect, and then share your thoughts in the comments so you can stay accountable and motivated.
And don't forget to subscribe to English Passage Podcast for more meaningful English conversations that help you grow.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Take care and keep improving, one habit at a time.